That's a good, there was a couple of leaks I didn't know we had.
It is 5:30, and I'm calling the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order Thursday, January 27th, 2022. Mr. Trini Jones, could you give our invocation, and could everyone stand, please? Okay, at this time, if we have any visitors that would like to make any remarks that do not pertain to anything happening on our agenda today, you can take the microphone there. Doesn't look like we have any visitors. Number 4 on our agenda is adoption of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was Monday, December 20th, 2021.
I move to approve the minutes from December 20th, 2021.
Okay, and do I hear a second?
Second?
I have a second, and all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those disapprove, like sign? Okay, and the motion carries. Okay, our next item is 4.1, discuss approval, oh, no, sorry, next one. I should look at my agenda. Mr. Finner is going to talk to us about the next one. It's a Final Plat 22-01. We're going to discuss and consider a final plat of the Hansum Addition, Lot 1R and 2R, Block 190, being a replat of Lot 1, Block 190, being 0.399 acres, City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, also known as 1008 South Catherine Street. And Mr. Finner has our staff report for us.
All right, thank you, Madam Chairwoman and members. Most of these are pretty straightforward. This is a replat on Block 190. You'll see that there's a couple lots being platted here. There's portions of the right-of-way that are included in the plat, and the Catherine Street right-of-way is sufficient. And so you'll see the two lots that'll be produced, 8,700 square foot and the 8,600 square foot. They meet the standards. As y'all know, I've talked about the developers agreements that we're doing. We're doing several of those that come from some of these replats, and some of them actually come before. We haven't discussed anything with this individual about doing a developers agreement, but that would be a separate issue from this because the plat meets the standards and we're all good with it. So we recommend approval. So if you have any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any questions about this final plat? Do I hear a motion to approve this final plat? FP 22-01.
Move we approve.
Okay, and do I hear a second?
Second.
The motion carries, and all those in favor of this motion of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, and that carries. Our next item is a final plat, 22-02. We're going to consider and discuss a final plat of Crossroads at Terrell, Phase 3B, Lot 10, Block 5, including Crossroads, Rhodes Parkway, and Independence right-of-way, being 13.063 acres out of the John C. Hale Survey, abstract number 202, City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas. Mr. Finner, you have another report for us?
Yes, ma'am. So if you can look at the plat here without getting real complicated. We've worked on this for several months, and as you know, this was a planned development, and again, I always say, I try to remind you because we all forget pretty quick. We have so much going on. But this was a plan development you approved back in 2021. The council actually did a developer's agreement. There's going to be a boardwalk in the back of these apartments that will be fronting the lake, and so they're going to be paying for a portion of that, and throughout the development be reimbursed. So it's going to be a very nice, that lake area will be a very nice public amenity for everyone. They will actually have a portion that is private, but it'll back up to that, so they're doing additional landscaping and so forth. When we worked on this, there's still some things going on because with the construction plat that was approved, they're going to be using temporary access to get to this property off of Sage Hill Parkway, and that'll be through the Allen's property, and that's been worked out. Crossroads will eventually be extended, and if you see that shaded gray area on the map, too, we've got that area there for the dedication. Independence Parkway will be on the west side of the property that will be built before all this is done, and that goes to the south where we have a planned we've been planning a convention center there, and I think the talks are still open there. So anyhow, there's a developer's agreement, so there's a lot of moving parts. Our contingency on this final plat will be that they have to build mainly the safety part of this, and that's going to be the fire lane around the property. So you'll see that the fire lane easement that we plat, that's going to be the biggest deal before we issue any vertical permits. So with all that said, I can answer any questions about that, but with all that said, the specs of the final plat meet the standard technical part of the plat. It's just that we will assume the proper process of recording and the final approval through the developer's agreement and through the public infrastructure that's built.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Finner about the Final Plat 22-02? Okay, do I have a motion to consider approval for that final plat with the contingencies that Mr. Finner just mentioned that are in our agenda?
I'll make a motion for approval of the final plat for Lot 10, Block 1, Crossroads Parkway and Independent Parkway right-of-way, being 13.063 acres out of the John C. Hale Survey, A202, City of Terrell, Kaufman County, with requirement of the following contingencies: the letter of credit and surety bond, complete public improvements within 6 months of plat approval, and once the public improvements are constructed, inspected, and approved, the city engineer in whole will accept the public improvements, and the letter of credit surety bond will be relinquished.
Okay, we have a full motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say like sign. Okay, and that motion carries. And our next item on the agenda is another final plat, 22-03. We're going to discuss and consider a final plat of the Proficient Addition, Lot 1, 2, 3, and 4, Block 193, being a replat of Block 1, Lot 1, Block 190, being 0.738 acres. City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, located at the corner of South Francis and Crenshaw Street. Mr. Finner?
Okay, Ms. Chairwoman and the Commissioners, this is a little different. It is a lot that's, as you know, we have a lot of infill development going on. So we have a lot of platting happening with this, and we also have, like I said before, developer agreements that are coming forth that look at a few things. If your lots aren't 100%, or if you're dedicating right away, or we're trying to get 100% or 85% masonry. So there's a lot of things we're working through. In this case, you can see that the portion of the right-of-way that's being dedicated in the front. It goes at a diagonal. So they're dedicating that right-of-way to complete out that Crenshaw Street. We do recommend approval of this. They'll have to meet the standards, but we do recommend approval of the subdivision along with the developer's agreement, simply because we're taking one lot into 4, and there's a little bit of a, we've got the square footage on all the lots. You can see on the very end, 8,000 square foot is plenty of square foot for the zoning district. However, with the right-of-way dedication, the total right-of-way dedication, it throws off a depth issue. So we would like to give them the opportunity to have the 4 lots, clean up some of that, the dedication, and then work through the developer's agreement with them. So approve the plat, our recommendations, approve the plat and work through a developer's agreement. And you know how that'll work is that if you make that recommendation, you don't have to, you can just prove it. You can prove it, you can deny it, obviously, table it, whatever. If you approve it with my recommendation, then it goes on to council, and then of course the approval of the plat would be approved, but I would be talking with the applicant about doing a developer's agreement to clean up a little bit of that side that we've entered into, and of course that process will go through the council. So,
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Finner on that? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve this final plat with the approval being contingent on the staff recommendations that are listed here?
I'll make a recommendation for approval of final plat, Proficient Addition Lot 1, 2, 3, and 4, Block 193, FP 22-03, to include also the staff recommendations.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Okay, motion carries. Okay, our next item is 5.4. We're going to conduct a public hearing to discuss and consider a change in zoning from commercial to downtown district. The property is 0.18 acres of the Barr S. Rhodes Survey, City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, also known as 201 North Blanche Street. Mr. Finner's going to give us a report.
yes, Ms. Chairwoman, Commissioners, this goes back for about a year, this project here. The bottom line is we're down zoning from commercial to the downtown district. That area is called the downtown study area in our future land use. And so the bottom line, with all that said, we recommend approval from commercial to downtown district. As you know, that what the downtown district does is it limits certain uses and it creates that entryway into the city. Plus, we've looked at the future of the portion to the east of doing a park in that area when we improve it. This the reason we're at the spot of rezoning to downtown is partly because the business became non-conforming. As you know, if you purchase a building, you have the exact use in there. You can keep it going and grandfathered. If you try to have a different use, then you have to bring things up to standard. Property, parking, landscaping, building, so forth. We started this a year ago or so, discussing not enough parking for the building and how we could do that. We went through a lot of different things because they showed up to get a CO for a body shop, and that just wasn't going to work in that area. And so we had to go through the process of working with them. We had a little confusion through the process, but the determination was You can continue with the antique store and get a CO as long as you go through the downtown zoning, and that's where we're at now. And so we do recommend the zoning district. When any use changes in the CO, they will have to bring it up to the downtown standards, and through that will probably be a whole new project that we may bring to you. But as long as they do what they're going to do with keeping it as an antique until they redo it, they're fine on that end. So the rezoning is a good thing from commercial to downtown, and that's what you're really voting on. So you can ask me questions and then open the public hearing. So
Anybody have any questions before we open the public?
yes.
Property right next to it, is that a throwaway or a thoroughfare or parking?
It is dedicated. It's dedicated Nash Street, and we discussed that early on because this business, the current before, it's always used the parking in the right of way. There were no intentions, quick, in the near future to build the Nash Street, and so that's part of the negotiations we first started on was, hey, we would have to go through the process of doing some kind of developer's agreement to lease that area for parking, and then maybe improve that whole area and maybe eventually build that road for connection to the other property. Well, that's not going to happen, and our agreement wasn't going to happen, but it is still a dedicated right-of-way, so the city does own it. And there was a gentleman here earlier. He lives right next door in that blue house, and his concern was, just to let you know, his concern was about taxes going up if this rezoning was going to create that. And, my answer to them is, hey, you're going from commercial to downtown, so you limit the uses. So if I buy a property that's zoned commercial, I have a lot more uses I can do than the downtown district. So I can't promise you anything, but that sufficed for him, and that's why that gentleman, so he left. Thought we might have a couple more people, but anyhow.
Okay. There's no other questions?
I do have a question. What about other businesses in this area? Are they also considering the change from commercial to downtown?
It's a good question.
Or have we
we-
had any feedback on, not really, huh?
We were actually, when we were working through this, the gentleman that bought this was gonna look at buying this, or that's what we told the other side of that, to where we could create a corner and we could do that little block area as an open door kind of human use area that we could recreate with the downtown district and a developer's agreement, a PD, and use that right away for things that could be, maybe outdoor seating, things like that. That didn't work out. So no one has contacted us at this time to do that. They have not contacted us. So the city does own lots on Nash Street, just east of the county yard. And one day they propose to move that yard, and so we may work out a deal with them, and that may be another area that we place a park in, to a little green area, and to work on some redevelopment of that area. That's not anytime soon, but.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we will open the public hearing. Anyone would like to come up and discuss the zoning change that's they're in favor of the zoning change? If anyone, no one's coming up for that. If anyone would come in opposed to the zoning change, if you have any questions or concerns, you can come to the microphone. Okay, if no one from the audience has any questions or comments, we will close the public hearing. Okay, do I have a motion to approve this zoning change, rezone from commercial to downtown district?
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to consider the change in zoning from commercial to downtown district. ZC 22-01. The property is .18 acres out of the Barr S. Rhodes Survey, City of Terrell, Kaufman, Texas, also known as 201 North Bland Street.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Okay, the motion carries for the zone change. The next zoning change, we will conduct a public hearing to discuss and consider a change in the zoning from agriculture to single-family 6 to allow construction of single-family residential homes. The property is Lot 1R and Lot 2R, Block 4 being 4.62 acres of the Michael Churchwell Survey, City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, also known as 1000 Mineral Wells Road. Mr. Finner?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Now, this is, this property over in this area has been on mineral wells and on Rose Hills, been looked at a lot. Things have happened over there. Y'all have rezoned, done PDs and so forth. The applicant brought forth this application to rezone the property to SF6. You'll see the zoning that's there is agriculture and a little retail piece. We've had a couple people try to rezone that before. If this zoning goes through, basically, the next step for them is to plat the property. And then you'll see the layout of the property. But right now, they're just trying to get the entitlement for the planning of it. Now, we did have one letter that we received today, I believe, and it's basically saying, you can read it there, possible increase in taxes for senior citizens in the area, possible increase in parties and music that already exist at the apartments. And there's already other areas zoned residential, and so they could do that somewhere else. So I just wanted to read that into the record. We do know there's apartments over there. There's some multifamily zoning, so you can see that on the zoning map. To the north is 7.5. To the south is agriculture zoning, and we've gone through the process of rezoning some of that property down to the south. This is something for the P&Z, the commission, to consider in their recommendation. You can recommend this zoning request from Ag to SF6 straight out. You can deny it, of course. Our recommendation, we would like to see this be rezoned to 7.5. And again, with possibility of a developer agreement addressing some of the lot sizes. A lot of times when these developments are coming through, just like the one we'll see that we're doing an agreement with down south with the Cedars, it's the new 9-acre tract or what have you. They'll have some 7,000 and 8,000 square foot lots, but they also have some 6,000, and they needed setbacks, and so we entered into the developer's agreement to make that work for diversity of lots, which is definitely what we would do with the 7.5. We'd like to continue the 7.5. However, we do understand this is a new traditional neighborhood area, and SF6 could fit in that area. However, we would just like to see the 7.5, it be rezoned to 7.5, and then just work through developer's agreement for some of the development standards, if that makes sense. So you can ask me questions, but the recommendation here could be, when you open the public hearing, you can close it. And the recommendation could be approval of the SF6 rezoning, or the recommendation would be approval. You recommend it to be 7.5 with the developer's agreement addressing some of the development standards, which you would end up seeing again in a plat process. Or you can just deny it. You know all what you can do, and you see our recommendation there. So I'm ready for questions, or you can open the public hearing.
Mr. Fenner, I think we've had this discussion about mineral wells right by the apartments. Isn't there traffic when there's buses and stuff there? And if it was more house density, it would just create a little bit more.
Yeah, that is not, none of that area is perfect. We do have, some of the Windsor extension and some of the other stuff happening, but that's gonna be later. So to create an east to west corridor, we've even talked about with the school district about the elementary and moving, when their plans for doing certain things and how we could get traffic across. Because if you recall, the Rose Hill and the Woodlands are going to be, the Rose Hill, if that develops, that would build out a portion of Windsor down there. And if the preserve develops, which you approved the PD for that, that's where the northern portion, they're south of the Windsor connection from 148 to Rose Hill, then it could eventually have a tie into the mineral wells. All that said, the circulation could be much better. But yes, there is traffic, and that's definitely a consideration. These areas over here, one of the difficult things is a lot of the remaining stuff. We have a lot of speculation, a lot of people asking us about development. The problem is some of these lots are just small. It's hard to do any real development, and we have to afford them the right to figure out a way to do some development. Of course, it's zone ag now, but it is called out to be a single family zoning. So that is a consideration, and we all know that traffic can be a problem at certain times in certain areas. We've had that conversation with some of our plats and our growth. So I hope that answered the.
Yeah, oh yeah. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Fenner?
Is this the same
I'm gonna
lot
say.
that was brought to us last year with the townhouses, mixed use?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So they're giving it another shot, but now with single family on the table, right?
Right. And we did definitely, with the new traditional neighborhood, it allows for a higher density, but that's a characteristic of that new traditional neighborhood when it's transitioning into a corridor, like closer to the I-20, to a commercial section, a commercial node, or what have you. And so when we stay further away from those areas, the commercial areas and stuff, then we like to stick with the 3 to 4 units per acre because of the density issue. And that's the part that's hard to explain to everybody in the comp plan, but that is the way it is. Yes, sir. In this situation, you're gonna see probably some stuff come through that we're gonna have to start holding off and on the zoning because we're growing, and we have to understand the utilities. Well, the utilities and the capacity levels come with platting. Well, that comes after zoning, and people want their property zoned first before they spend the money on that. But we're getting to a point where the Rose Hill lift station is at a capacity is going to be an issue, and so everything that we're seeing coming from the south of Rose Hill, south of Interstate on Rose Hill, we're talking millions of dollars to redo everything to make sure. So we're wanting to start getting into more of the master planning of these tracks. The problem is a lot of these tracks on Rose Hill, they're small, they're slim, and you can't do a lot about it. So there's been a lot of speculation. A lot of people have called. We did have the mixed use. We also had somebody that actually did a layout for multifamily. So there's several things that have happened, but we didn't go forward with one of those. So we're here now with the single family, and their request was SF6, and we're just saying we prefer 7.5, and we could work with a little, the lot configuration on that, and maybe some lot widths and stuff like that with them, so we could all both get what we really want. Again, this is good for you guys to be the recommending board, because you don't have to take anything, my recommendation. You can do what you feel is best for the area. And you can say, let's just zone it to SF6 and get on with it. It's whatever you want to do. Yeah, and they'll speak during the public, I guess, if they would like to speak during a public hearing, so.
I just want to be clear.
Yes,
So, the problem that we had before was that would be the number of residences that would be in the multifamily.
yes,
Going to 7.5 would lessen the number of houses that are able to be built in that same area,
right,
right? So,
right,
6.5 may give us, let's say, 7 houses. 6.5 may give us 10 houses, whereas 7.5 would give us 8.
right. That's a very good scenario. So so you're talking about a 6,000 square foot lot versus a 7,500 square foot lot. And so what we're doing on the one south of there, working through with them, is some may be 7,900 square feet or 8,000, but then some may be 5,900, and we'll allow a few of those. And that's why we're saying if we do SS75, we could work in some lot configuration and work on some of the development standards like landscaping and the masonry quality and stuff like that. But again, that was a perfect example of what it was. So if you think, hey, we've been looking at multifamily and townhomes on this lot, so they came in with SF6, we'll take it. It's whatever you would like to do.
Because we're still dealing with the congestion situation.
Yeah, and we will be for a while. We have a lot of plans to change some of that stuff. Like I told you before, that east to west corridor will be we'll eventually have a full east to west corridor south of there, and then you can go north, and we'll have some other improvements. But that's like a lot of other places. Our interchange at 20 and Rose Hill will be redone. Our frontage roads near shops at Terrell and 20 and 34 will have the county thoroughfare shows 34 coming up, 2586. So there'll be changes at Interstate 22. So there's all going to be all kinds of changes. It's just a matter of time.
So this is really a vote based upon the people that are living there now that are impacted by what we're going to vote on.
Right. Right. And that's why we'll do the public hearing. And we had just the one within the 200 foot. We just had the one person.
Okay, if there's any more questions, I can open the public hearing if we're clear on that. Okay. I will open the public hearing for the zoning change 22-02. Does anyone want to come to the microphone and speak in favor of this zoning change from agriculture to single-family 6?
Thank you.
Just state your name and just give us a brief description, about 3 minutes or so.
Yes, my name is Rogelio Reyes. We are the owner of the company that we bought this lot. I'm very happy to stay here with all of you. And I just want to let you know that we try to develop some kind of beautiful houses. We have experience in construction, and also we expect that we do something not impact the area with too many houses. It's just the right houses with the right size for the zonification. 6, we applied for 6, but 7.5 is also okay. We are very happy to start.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for him specifically? Okay.
So you're saying that you're open to 7.5 qualifications?
Yes, and in the beginning we thinking, well, also this is a business at the end, but we prefer 6, but we also happy to 7.5. But in the beginning we prefer 6.
What is, I know that you have your, like you said, this is a business, so you have probably already done some kind of impact studies or done some observations. If you go with the 6, the SF6, have you got any kind of determination of approximately how many units you will place in a lot?
Not really, because we start following the procedures dictated by the city, and we start with the zoning to apply, and after that, we try to develop some kind of plats or replats for the best manage of the houses of the people that come inside or whatever. That's why we don't have at this moment nothing specific about some kind of project. Depends on the zoning approval.
Okay. If anyone else would like to speak in favor or against? No? Is that all? Any more questions? Okay, I will close the public hearing. Thank you. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. So, any discussion in between anyone before we go for a motion? Any more questions for Mr. Finner? So, Mr. Finner, we could make a motion with the staff recommendations of the single-family 7.5 with your recommendations, or the 6. So,
Yes.
okay. Okay, do I hear a motion for either?
I'd like to make a motion to not to rezone this right now from agriculture to single-family 6, not to do it at this time. Maybe the staff can get back with the owners and recommend, or try to see if they can recommend a single-family for 7.5 loaning. So at this time, I recommend not to approve this. The ZC 22-02.
Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
Okay. And all those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
That's 3. Okay.
Okay.
We know what the charge is now. We'll make sure that we work through with them to
To get,
work on that.
yes, maybe the staff can work through a little more and iron out some of the details and, okay, and then we could come back to that.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we put him, up there at the top, because we know that, these people look for a long time. But I'm just gonna, this is just an example. We're gonna start bringing stuff that really is gonna require some more studying, and not necessarily this, but as we see some other projects we have working right now, you can expect to see a thoroughfare plan and some utility plans and some more engineering to be talked about. Again, these people want to do, these applicants want to get the entitlement first, because that's where they know they can spend the money. And so we will make sure we work with them on getting to a meeting place. So.
Okay. That can,
And obviously, we take this recommendation to the council.
yes. Okay. That concludes our meeting. Okay. Thank you. We are adjourned.